Here with Sarah Sunnucks of Smith's Funeral Home. We've done lots of videos together.
Yeah.
And she's giving me a tour of the Smith's Funeral Home here in Stoney Creek.
Yeah, kind of a day in the life of what I do.
I love it. I love it.
So a lot of times people ask about cremation. We do offer cremation here as one of the options. And one of the things I show people are urns. So our urn is just a place for someone to keep their cremated remains. They are allowed to take them home with them. So sometimes we have designs that kind of reflect that person as a tribute, knowing that it's going to go home or maybe to a cottage. Sometimes urns can be buried. So, you have different ones that are available. These are kind of a keepsake, maybe a portion wants to be held onto while the rest are scattered. So we have lots of options of remains where they can go. This is actually kind of a little keepsake one of a bird.
Aw, that's cute.
What's kind of nice is, you could have that on a mantle and no one would kind of know what you have with you, but you would know it's your person. We offer help with scattering because that is something that's legal in Canada. A lot of people don't think it is, but there are some legal areas you can scatter. But a lot of people don't realize that if your parents are buried in a cemetery in a casket, you can actually be buried on top of them with permission. So some of my job is just to kind of give people all of their options. I do a lot of phone calling to the local cemeteries, trying to find where family members might be, and just kind of help them with these kind of first steps on cremation. People can also bring in their own urns. I've done a tackle box and a cookie jar.
You've done what? A tackle box and a cookie jar?
Yes,
wow, okay.
Yeah, I put remains into a tackle box
Nice.
and had it displayed with the fishing rods, and it just was that person, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the cookie jar actually is a kind of a funny story. This woman wanted to buy a $300 cookie jar in the States, and her husband said, absolutely not, you can't spend that much money on a cookie jar. And she said, well, honey, it'll be my urn after. So she was able to buy the cookie jar because she knew she'd be using it afterwards. So to me, that was really a great representation of her. She got away with buying a $300 cookie jar, but some people are potters. They make their own. Maybe they make it out of wood. So there's lots of different options. These are actually for two people to go in together. So we call them companion urns. The hard part with companion urns is you can't bury them when the first person passes. You have to hold on to it till the second person passes. So there are some logistics we always talk to families about, but these can all be engraved. They can all have names on them. These over here are ones made out of stone with engraving. This is another companion stone one. So yeah, lots to kind of think about. This is a scattering urn. The reason why we call it scattering, I don't know if you can see, but it's got like a perforated lid here.
Yep. Oh, I can see that.
Yeah, and so when you scatter someone, you're not touching anything with your hands.
Right.
So you're kind of just scattering it that way. These are also really good for airplanes. Like if you're going to take a portion to Hawaii and scatter in Hawaii, these can go on planes.
Oh,
so we
good.
know how to help people with that. Yeah. So another thing we can do with cremated remains is we have jewelry that's designed to put a little bit of cremated remains inside. So we have quite a lot of options. There's actually tons of options that you can do. Sometimes I even bring out a magazine of different ones, but they're especially designed. There's kind of a hole on the back, and there's a special spoon we use to put a little bit of remains in. It's not very much, it's just a few, but families can then wear it as a necklace. So they have the person with them all the time. Again, if someone's been scattered or buried, this is kind of the only thing left that they have to hold on to. Some people don't like that idea though. They think it's kind of weird to be holding on to someone, or they might lose it or those sort of things. So an alternative, especially if someone's not cremated, is their fingerprint. So
cool.
We do have a fingerprint as a digital print, and it can go towards, different, this is kind of a dog tag for a man with some information there. And then this is actually a ring with the fingerprint detail on the ring. So, if it's a spouse or something like that. We have bracelets. We have lots of different options that you can use the fingerprint for. So again, if someone's not cremated, So we don't have the option of putting remains into a necklace, or they just don't feel comfortable with that idea. We can at least do the fingerprint design.
That's awesome. What do we have over here, Sarah?
So these are our green caskets. So this is a green casket here. The reason why we call it green, it doesn't look green, but it's because it's all natural. So it's all natural wood. There's no metals, there's no dyes. It's poplar wood. And as we open up, you can see it's all natural cotton.
Oh yeah, you can see
here.
that.
And it's part of the Green Barrel Council. So that's who kind of orchestrates us to be green. If you can see over here, this is another green one, kind of like a half design, but it's like a wooden dowel kind of way without using metals as options. And then for one family member, we actually took it to the church and we allowed everyone to kind of write little messages on it, right? So very personalized, gives a chance for people to write. So we leave markers for family members to write on it. If you use this casket, you can go into any cemetery and be green. So even if you might have a regular green or a regular cemetery plot, you can choose to be green. So no embalming, all natural casket, or you can choose a green cemetery, which has green sections, and this can be something that you can use as well.
I love it. What do we have over here, Sarah?
So this is one of our top wood caskets. It's made of mahogany wood. So when people ask about pricing on caskets, it really depends on what type of wood. So just like kitchen cabinets, mahogany wood would be the high-end wood, cherry would be higher end, oak kind of in the middle, and then poplar wood would be a lesser cost value for the wood. It also depends on what goes into the casket. So this has like an inlay of mahogany inside. This is called a full couch. What that means is that the whole body is displayed. So sometimes we might use this for a police officer or a priest because they're in a full uniform. So they want to be shown in their full regalia.
Cool.
This is one of our private rooms. Sometimes we'll have people come just for private time. We won't have like a public gathering. So the time can be with the casket, kind of a goodbye. And it's a nice goodbye. It's private, it's respectful, dignified. We close the eyes, close the mouth. The person's dressed and bathed. And they just get an hour with that person before they're cremated or before we do a burial or whatever the situation might be. Since COVID, this has actually become very popular because they kind of like the small gathering without feeling like they have to kind of host a big party. So we offer this to every family. If they want to just have a private time with their loved one, they're more than welcome to do that. If you look over to the left here, this is actually called an urn ark. So at the cemetery, we would have pallbearers hold the casket. Well, this urn ark, you can still have pallbearers and have an urn. So you can still have that kind of procession to the cemetery if you want. We also use it for display purposes. So we'll have like flowers here, photos. This kind of comes off so you don't have to have it. We could have like a big display with an urn. Or sometimes we have just a photo of someone with flowers and just kind of a focal point for the gathering. And then something kind of unique for some religions, this is actually a sandbox, and you come and you light a candle and you put it in, and that's part of their kind of tribute to say goodbye. So everyone lights a candle and then they go into the room. So it's kind of, we serve every religion here, every background, and so we're ready for anyone that might need our help.
That's awesome.
So this used to be 2 rooms, but we took down the wall and now we have this very large visitation room. The way it's set up right now is kind of a more formal setting. The chairs in the middle are set up for prayers. But when we have another group or other families, we'll take down the chairs. We'll even have tables here with catering, so we can have wine and beer and food, sandwiches, fruit, chocolate-covered strawberries we had the other day. So we kind of can have a party in this room, more of a celebration. We have kind of a slideshow area, so people, sometimes they'll be laughing and there'll be like a picture that's come up on the slideshow. But this room is quite large. We can have it set up in different ways. Sometimes there's a casket at the front, sometimes there's an urn at the front, and sometimes there's just photos. So it really depends on what the family wants it to look like.
It's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's the chapel. Oh, those are so nice. This is what you were talking about.
Yeah.
With the stained glass. Yeah, zoom in on that. So those were original?
Original, yeah.
Stained glass? Wow.
So this was a church originally. It was a Lutheran church. The funeral home bought it and converted it into a funeral home. What I like about this room is it really does feel like a church chapel if you want it to, or we can take down all the chairs and bring in couches and make it feel like a visitation room. So it's a really functional room. It can fit quite a lot of people. We can have live music. We do have a live stream. So if people are from another country or maybe just not able to come out because of age or restrictions that way.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Home to feel like a home. We want it to feel like your grandma's home, a comfortable place. We want everyone to feel comfortable. And that's actually where the word funeral home comes from, is the funeral director actually lived in the funeral home, typically above. That's how our Brant Street and our Grimsby locations are. And they had the funeral in the bottom part. And the idea was, instead of having your loved one in your parlor, that's originally, you had the loved one in the parlor in a casket. And everyone would come to your home and they would have food and they would say their goodbyes. So the funeral home said, why don't, instead of having it at your home, we'll have it at our home. So we brought it to our home. So that's why we call them funeral homes. Some people used to call it funeral parlors. It's that kind of from your parlor to our parlor.
Gotcha.
My primary role here at the funeral home is the pre-planning aspect, which nobody wants to do. I understand, nobody wants to come in and sit with me. But I always have people come in after they've sat with me, after I've gone through all the options, shown them all their things that are able to happen for them. They always feel relief that they've talked about it. You know, it's been talked about. I've given them pricing. We talk about lots of different options for them. And I just feel like as long as we get started, it's like one thing that we've done so that the executor or your family members don't have to think about. It just makes it so much easier when the time comes. I wish everyone would come in and prearrange, even if they didn't prepay for things, they just came in and talked about what their wishes are. It would just be so much easier for when the time comes, because we just never know when someone's going to pass away. There's kind of a saying here, it's not an if, it's a when. So if we all know this is going to be something that we all have to do at some point in our lives, why don't we be more proactive to learn about it? An executor job is a job, it's really a job, that none of us have training for. None of us go to school to be executors. You know, we just do it out of the love of the person that's left behind. But if we could just know, like, what is probate? You know, what is income tax? How does this affect when I'm gone? You know, who does the home go to? What about mortgages? And, you know, like, there's so much to learn, and there's so much stuff that gets dropped on someone's plate. Why do I need a will? Do I even need a will? I have nothing. I hear that all the time. Yes, you do need a will, because someone has to be your voice after you're gone. What's power of attorney? Like, how can someone help me when I'm not able to help myself? Or how do I help someone who's not able to help themselves? You know, there's just so much to go through. In such a hard time, I just think if I could just have people come in ahead, it would really help this process. There's other things too that we offer that no one kind of knows about. We have a tax-free account that's a trust, so it stays in that person's name until death. It's transferable anywhere in Canada. It can be canceled at any time. You can, you know, change your wishes. We have a travel insurance, so if you're traveling overseas on vacation and you pass away, it brings everything back, as well as your documents, your proof of death, changes your traveling companion's flight. And that's a one-time fee. There's no health questions or age restrictions. Like, everyone should have that. And anyone who travels should have travel insurance for sure, but we have one that lasts your whole life. So we just offer so many things at the funeral home, and I just wish people would come in and just want to get some information, just start the process of learning what options are. Even if they think they have a basic cremation only, scatter me in the wind, come in and talk, because we do have stuff we want to offer your family just to help them along. One of the biggest things we offer here is Canada pension benefits. We want your family to get benefits from the government when you've passed away. A lot of people don't know there's money sitting there, and it's not like the government's going to knock on the door and say, hey, we've got a bunch of money here waiting for you. You know, we want to make sure we help the families get all that done, that they just don't know what they're supposed to be doing at that time. So I'm grateful that you wanted to come in and kind of see things with me today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sarah. Well, we did an incredible video, and I'll put the link to that video there, which talks about pre-planning. Thank you so much for doing that. But I definitely want to come in and just check out the facility, and it's always nice chatting with you, of course.
Of course. Well, thanks for coming in.
All right.